What is up, humans of the cardboard? Welcome back to JustNutz, guys. Today we are looking at a new deck profile. This time it is OGDOADIC, featuring a small alien package, or as I like to call it, the reptile pile. Now, this will become more of a legitimate reptile pile once we get reptilian cards in Burst of Destiny, as well as we now have the Battle of Chaos OGDOADIC card revealed as well, and that card's actually really good for the deck. So the deck will really develop into a true reptile pile, but for right now, it's more like pure OGDOADIC with a couple of really spicy tech engines in there that kind of help make up for whatever the deck doesn't cover itself. So yeah, it's a really cool deck. I highly recommend you check it out. I still think this deck has potential. I just think it needs like the right facilitators down the line, and we could have something really spicy. So without further ado, let's just jump into it here. Starting off with our monster lineup, of course, we have triple Nunu and triple Nalia. These are the most important like engine monsters in the deck. They both pitch each other to send the opposite attribute that they are from deck to grave. This whole deck is like chaos typed, so just keep that in mind. But everything here is really good. I mean, opening these two in hands is like sending 2 to your grave and getting 2 level 4s on the field, or 2 level 8s on the field, depending on how you look at it. There's honestly a lot going on with just having these 2 in hand, or even 1 plus another engine card to like gets you places. So these are some of your best starters for the OGDOADIC package. Next up, you have 1 Zoha. Well, let's do the cover in this way. Zoha, Curse, and Alert as far as the you know, some of your send targets go. Zoha matters in the fact that he can send any card from your hand to the graveyard to get himself to your hand. He usually just ends up being a simple little normal summon at that point. But it is nice to have a way to normal summon a level 4 consistently like that, even if you didn't open a level 4 in hand to make rank 4 plays. Other than that, his effect is really bad because he gives your opponent like a draw, I believe. So I hate that. But Curse and Alert are really good. They tribute 1 monster on your field to summon themselves and then do something. Alert will take 2 of your banished monsters or cards? Monsters. And then putting them back into the graveyard, which is really good to like reload your Nunu back into grave for follow-up turns. And then you have Curse. Curse also is really good. This card tributes a monster, summons itself. Your opponent can summon 1 monster from their grave, but its effects are negated permanently. And if this card's special summoned, you can revive any level 4 lower OGDOADIC from grave. Usually you're trying to revive the Nalia at that point, and then Nalia will get you its search for any OGDOADIC spell or trap. So really good. There. 1 copy of OGDOADIC. This is your main deck boss monster. It's really good. Unfortunately, it has to summon itself by tributing 3 monsters from your field, which is really bad. But when this card's face up on the field, you can just quick effect send all monsters on the field to the graveyard except monsters summoned from the graveyard. That's really good. Generally, a lot of decks don't really summon from grave, so usually that's just like quick Raigeki, but sending. It doesn't even destroy, so it avoids a lot of protection anyway. This card's really good. This card becomes so much better, in my opinion, once the new spell comes out, because the new spell is like just a revival spell, and it's continuous, so it revives every turn. So I think the deck could almost be in a place where you could just try and play a control game where like you just revive this guy every turn. Like get him in grave, revive him every turn, and now you just have like the quick wipe every turn, and then just when you're ready to apply pressure, you apply pressure, which is really good. So I still think it's a good card. It's worth playing now, and it'll be even more worth during that time. For the last reptile main deck monster, we play 1 copy of Alien Stealth Buster. This is a requirement to play the Alien engine, at least the small one that we're playing today. Pretty much what he says is if he's sent to the graveyard, you could target any monster on the field and place 2 A counters on it. During the main phase, except the turn that was sent to the graveyard, you can banish this card from the graveyard to target any card with an A counter and destroy it. So gives you a little bit of removal on follow-up turns, but mainly he is used to be able to just send. It's an alien target that can be normal summoned, and it also gives you the bonus of like when it's sent, getting A counters on stuff to help make your Link 3 do what it needs to do. So good card. And it's level 4 too. So like I said, it's nice to just have Zoha as a level 4 that can be normal summoned sometimes. And sometimes you just hard draw Stealth Buster, and that works just the same. For the only actual normal summon in the deck, I wouldn't call anything in the deck an actual normal summon except for this, and this is Nightmare Corruptor Ibli. If you don't know what this card does, you're lucky, because this card was a menace at one point. But pretty much what this says, if this card is used as link material, it will summon itself to your opponent's field. and it has a little stipulation for itself that says the player who controls it cannot special summon, period, unless it's for a link summon. So unless they play generic links and they're able to clear this off the field, they literally will not be able to. And some decks, a lot of decks in the current metagame, just don't even play generic links like that to be able to like clear this off the field. And so this card's really nasty that way. Also, when it's normal summoned, you can just revive a link monster from grave so that it points to it. That actually can be good just to help you like link climb on the crackback. But isn't too important. It doesn't come up all the time. But mainly it's used because this deck doesn't really take use of his normal summon, and this card just allows you to just lock your opponent out of summoning sometimes and just get away with free wins for no reason. And who doesn't like free wins? Next up, for another little engine, the Chaos Baby engine. I mean, this shouldn't be too surprising. I already told you earlier, this deck is all Chaos monsters. Everything is light and dark in the deck pretty much. So these are really nice extenders that just help you put 4s on the field. 4s, 4s, 4s is what we want to see. There, next up we have triple copies of Parallel Exceed. This card's also really good. I mean, whether you're opening Nightmare Corruptor Ibli or opening a heavier reptile hand, you're able to just go into either one of the reptile links or just make a link one off of Ibli. And you can even chain block the Ibli or the Exceed as well, which is really good. And yeah, this card's a really good extender. It's like a 1-card rank 4 as an extender, which this deck really takes good use of rank 4s. There, then we get to some hand traps, triple Ash and triple Gamma for the hand traps. Ash is just Ash, covers all matchups, and Gamma is so good in this deck, right? You'll see when we get to the spell lineup, there's like 4 different like huge power card spells that your opponent's always going to want to negate if they have an Ash, and so Gamma just hella punishes those decks, and I love that. I really love it. So that is it for that. Let's see, where are we at here? Hold on. We can get everything arranged here. Yep, that's it for the monsters. Moving into the spell lineup here, we start off with 3 copies of Snake Rain. This card is the best card in your deck. I don't really want to get too crazy. I mean, it just is. This card's insane. Discard any card, just send 4 reptiles from deck to grave. That becomes like a 1-card, I don't even know. I guess you'd call it like a rank 8 plus a search and follow-up, I guess. But I guess it really depends. Like, you're never just resolving this card with like nothing else to do in hand. You always have something else to do. But it's really good. It sets up a lot of your plays. And this card with Gamma is so busted, right? Because your opponent's always going to want to Ash this. If they see this, this is the one thing your opponent should be scared of. If they're playing a meta deck and they know they're playing against OGDOADIC, this is the one thing they can't let resolve if they can help it. So they will always Ash that. And if you can Gamma them, then like, whoop-de-freaking-do. Triple copies of OGDOADIC Water Lily. This card might not be a 3 of when the new card comes out, but we're a ways away from that, so I'm not going to press too much on that. But this card's essentially a generic reptile Foolish Burial, not to the extent of Snake Rain, but it just says send 1 reptile from deck to grave. Then if you have 5 or more reptiles with different names in grave, you can summon a reptile back from grave. So you have that high ceiling. What's really good is there are certain combos where you search this off of your Nalia, and then this will dump and then revive the Ogdo Abyss. So this is how you generally are getting Ogdo Abyss onto the field in this version of the deck. You're never really trying to tribute 3 to get him back. You're always trying to revive him with something else to get his value. Then some search cards outside of that stuff. We have double copies of Signet Mining, and we have double copies of Chaos Space. Signet Mining is there for Ibli. Chaos Space is there for the Baby Dragons. Not too much else to say here. I don't think you need to play these, but it's just consistency type stuff. Like, Ibli's really strong right now in the metagame. Like, Drytron struggles to clear it. They have to open, like, exactly... what's her face? The fairy that dumps a card. Diviner of the Herald. They have to open, like, exactly Diviner of the Herald. Otherwise, like, I don't know if they have an out to Ibli in the deck. And then we just kill them on the next turn. So, yep, that's really good. And then Chaos Space. You know. Also, by the way, because they discard, these a lot of times end up being targets for Ash Blossom as well. So Gamma becomes even better for them. And some one-of spells, 1 Monster Reborn, 1 Harpy's Feather Duster, 1 Called by the Grave. Reborn is just good, and it's just another card that you could open. That means, like, if you could just get to Ogdo Abyss, boom, revive Ogdo Abyss. I mean, you could literally open as simple a hand as Water Lily plus Reborn, and just go Water Lily for Ogdo Abyss, Reborn, bring him back, and now you have that board wipe, and I mean, things could be worse. Harpy's Feather Duster, this card is just insane because this deck does not play too well into back row, so this card's just nice to have in the main deck. If you draw it, you draw it. If you don't, you know, you don't. So hopefully you do in the right matchups. One Called by the Grave. This deck can be weak to hand traps depending on what the hand trap is, so it's just nice to have the one Called in there as is, and then one Planet Pollutant Virus as the last card in the main. This is the other engine requirement. So as far as the alien package goes, you literally just need Stealth Buster and Pollutant Virus in the main. This card's really crazy. It says tribute one plant monster you control, or one alien plant. Did I just say plant? Tribute one alien monster you control. Destroy all face-up monsters without A counters that your opponent controls. And then until the end of your opponent's third turn after this card's activation, place an A counter on every monster they summon. That's summon, period. And it's all monsters. This is a lingering effect, even though this gets sent to grave. So everything will have an A counter on it, pretty much. Which is really good because the way our Link 3 works, this is like busted. Because it's just like quick Raigeki, and then they're under skill drain at all times. It's really strong. All right, so that is it for the main. 40 cards in the main. It's been pretty consistent for me, I gotta say that. Moving on here to our extra deck here. So for the links, the only link one I play is one Almirage. This is just here for Ibly. You just go normal summon, link Ibly for the link 1. That'll give Ibly to your opponent. Now your opponent cannot nib, your opponent cannot gamma, your opponent cannot phantasme. Also, don't forget that as well. I didn't mention that earlier, but it also keeps you from getting nibbed, which does matter. Phantasme, well actually they can Phantasme on the Almirage, so that doesn't really matter. But they can't stop, they can't gamma. They'd have to gamma the Ibly itself, and that's like pretty weak, to be honest, if you have like any follow-up. So we take those. For some generic reptile links, we have 2 Reptilian Echidna and 1 Alien Shock Trooper M-Frame. Echidna is the better one for sure. As you get into grindier matches, sometimes you really want to go into a second copy of her, because sometimes you just go through one of them during turn 1, depending on the kind of hand you opened. But she has a cool effect where, like, once per turn, she can just make your opponent's monsters attack 0, like 1 monster 0, and then she can search for any reptile from deck to hand up to the number of 0 attack monsters your opponent controls. So it's usually going to be at least 1, and that's just if your opponent, like, I don't know, if you gave your opponent Ibly, and then on the follow-up you made this, your opponent has Ibly, and if they normal summoned another monster, make that monster 0, and then you're adding any 2 reptiles from deck to hand for free. That's actually really good. And then you have M-Frame. M-Frame's fine, but the bigger reason he isn't as useful as Echidna is because Echidna only takes 1 reptile to make. The other material can be anything. So that actually means that, like, Almirage can be just like the other link material for this, or, you know, a Parallel Exceed, or a Chaos Baby Dragon, anything. So it makes it more easy to, like, make your plays. Whereas Shock Trooper is just nice in specific situations. He can discard any monster as a quick effect to place A counters up to that monster's level that you discarded all over the field. And then if he's destroyed, you can, like, special summon reptiles with different names from grave up to the monsters your opponent controls with A counters. So if your opponent has like 2 monsters and they beat over this card, then you get to summon any 2 reptiles back from grave. That's actually pretty good. It's also 1900, so it's nice to just have an easy beater as well. And he discards, so like he gets certain, like some of the bricks like out of the hand, which is nice as well. 1 copy of Cosmic Slicer 0. This card's cool. This card's insane. This card is essentially to aliens what the Buster Blader fusion is to them. It's kind of the same thing. It takes any 2 reptiles. All monsters your opponent controls with A counters are automatically forced to defense position. Also, neither player can activate their effects. That's the simplistic part of it. Also, they are not tied to each other. So if your opponent's monsters are switched to defense, or even if they're links and aren't switched to defense, they still get negated regardless, so that's still really important to note. And then on Link Summon, he can add any card from deck to hand that has an effect that places A counters. And then you can also remove 2 A counters from anywhere on the field to immediately after this effect resolves, normal summon a reptile monster. That can also come up. There are definitely ways where you would be able to, like, send the Stealth Buster earlier in the turn to just get 2 A counters on a monster your opponent controls. Then make this guy, add him back, Stealth Buster back to hand. Can we do that? Actually, I don't know if we can get Stealth Buster back to hand. Yeah, I'm not sure we can. But anyway, like the idea here is you pretty much end on this. You normal summon Alien Stealth Buster or reborn him with the Water Lily. And then this card, by the way, is searching your this Planet Pollutant Virus. Planet Pollutant Virus will tribute the Stealth Buster. Then you will wipe your opponent's board, and then from then on, they're playing through a skill drain on legs after being Raigeki. Quick effect Raigeki, which is really good. More rank 4s, double King of the Feral Imps. I think you need 2. I think 1 is going to be used almost every turn 1 if you can, but you still want to have the second one because why not? 1 Baguska, 1 Rika Queen Strenna, and 1 Sacred Tree Beast Hyperiton. This card's cool. It's just a generic rank 4 that says if it's tributed, it'll summon a plant Exceed from extra deck and then attach itself. So this just gets you a monster negate. If you're going to tribute something off of either Alert or the other one, Alert or Curse, you might as well make this if it's going to get tributed anyway, just so you can get a monster negate up sooner rather than later. Baguska is Baguska. If you can't get to the Zerol, it's nice to be able to make him instead because they kind of do similar things. That thing's kind of like Baguska, but better. And then we get to this package, Draglubion, Hope Harbinger, and the Numeron Dragon. This is really cool because Draglubion just summons 2 like Exceed dragons and then like overlays one on the other. So either summon these going first and go like bloop bloop for the spell negate, or you go bloop bloop to just like OTK your opponent, because this card just deals like 10,000 damage. So that's really cool. It's a really cool play. I also play 1 Dingirsu. It's just another rank 8. It's just like removal, just utility here. And then I have 1 more card in the extra. I'm honestly not sure where I would go with it. There's the potential of like, okay, I want to have, you obviously have to play these 3 because this has to summon 2 and then attached. So like there's no reason like you have to play all 3. So there's like a part of me that wants to play like a second Harbinger. That way I can like make a raw Harbinger turn 1. So there's like, so I can like make the raw Harbinger turn 1 and still be able to, like on the next turn, summon Alert and Curse again and make a Draglubion to actually push for game with the Numeron Dragon. It shouldn't come up all the time, but like I wouldn't mind like another defensive option. It doesn't have to be Hope Harbinger, a second copy. It could be something like the Felgrind rank 8. It could be the Galaxy Eyes rank 8. It could be the Lancelot or anything like that. Or I mean, also another thing is Omega. I don't have Omega in the extra deck. It would be nice. Like I said, resolving Gamma on your turn 1 is honestly not the hardest thing at all. So it may be worth to play something like Omega just so we can like extra punish our opponent. Should we get the Gamma, but it does still help to just be able to go Gamma and then you know, use it to link up into like certain stuff from there. It's not the end of the world. It's not awful. We can still make use of the bodies. We can tribute them off for the Curse and Alert or whatever. So really cool deck, really fun deck to play. It's definitely something I want to keep messing around with as we go forward. Like I said, Reptilian support in Burst of Destiny, then the new OGDOADIC card. I honestly think the OGDOADIC card may be more impactful than the entire Reptilian support, but we'll see. I still think some of those Reptilian cards are actually pretty good. So we'll take a look with them in the future and see where the reptile pile ends up. But this is where we are for today. Thank you so much for watching, guys. As always, subscribe to the channel if you have not yet and you want to see more stuff from your boy, more deck profiles and whatnot. And let me know in the comment section down below your thoughts on the list. What would you change about it? What would you try to tech in if you could? I'm just one guy trying to build these decks, so I always appreciate the suggestions. So I'm going to get that later. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.